Now, Britain has its share of sporting brothers in the Olympics, with the rowers Richard and Peter Chambers, of course, and Alistair and Johnny Brownlee in the triathlon. Now that continues in the Paralympic Games.
The men's goalball team, which is in action this morning, will include the Knott brothers, David and Adam. They took up the sport after seeing Mike Bushell give it a go here on Breakfast. He went to meet them.
It's not for the faint-hearted, with over a kilo of vulcanised rubber thrown at you at 60 miles per hour, a bit like a cannonball which packs a punch if it hits you in the wrong place. Oh, and of course, you're all wearing blindfolds, so you can't see it coming. You just have to listen for the bells inside the ball as they get closer and closer. Luckily for Team GB, the father of Adam and David Knott from Hampshire saw the sport featured on BBC Breakfast one morning, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Early one morning, my dad was watching BBC Breakfast, probably about 6:30. First reaction was he came and woke me up and made me fill in this form. And about a few months later, I went to Brunel University to try out blind football, blind judo, and also goalball. And to my luck, the GB assistant coach for goalball was there, took my details. And then from then on, 6 months later, I started goalball. Before my dad saw it on BBC Breakfast, I hadn't heard of goalball. From nothing to know about the sport, where in 2 months I'll be representing Great Britain in the Paralympic Games.
Once I started soon after Adam, he went down the local sports hall and where he just started throwing the ball quite often, like every week. And I thought I'd go down and help him just throw it back, and from there it just really took off. I mean, I started to enjoy it. And I started to defend the ball as well, and I just really enjoyed it.
The blindfolds mean that all players are equal. I'd seen at first hand what got the boys hooked when I joined the GB women's team at a training camp. And even at slow speed, it's quite unnerving when you hear the bells approaching.
Well, I've adopted the position. I can hear the ball coming. Oh, there it is. Oh, it seems to take an age to actually get to me, so I've now got to pick the ball up and I can either pass or go back and find my bearings with the bar and then throw out.
It's just amazing. There's no other sport where you try to throw this ball at 60 miles an hour and the other team try and stop it with any part of their body.
To concentrate for that long and just rely all on your hearing, it is just amazing.
I mean, for both of us, we both played cricket and rugby, and goalball kind of brings the two together, the physicality from the rugby side, but then the spatial awareness and the mental game from the cricket side. So it really brings the two sports that we played beforehand together as one sport.
A sport which has come a long way since it was devised in 1946 to help rehabilitate Second World War veterans who were left blind or visually impaired. And it's one of only 3 sports at the Paralympic Games which has no Olympic equivalent. Mike Bushell, BBC News, with the goalball team.
Joining us now are Rob Tyas, who founded and coaches a goalball team in York, and Pete Holdstock, who plays in Rob's team. Welcome to you both. We were just playing with this ball on the ground. Rob, I'm going to have to get you to pass it, because it's heavy. And it hurts. Please don't. It hurts.
The temptation.
It hurts. And Pete, I just wonder, are you not worried when you're playing this game? Because it looks pretty tough.
I think it's so. When you first start and you sort of starting at novice level, you get nervous. But obviously the ball's travelling a bit slower because people don't have the same sort of strength. And then as you progress up into intermediate, which is the level I'm at now, then yeah, you know, it can be painful, but you learn to deal with that. And after you've taken a few shots, it's okay.
Just looking at this ball and the idea of it travelling at the speeds it does, I mean, what is it that attracted you to this game?
I think it's you know, building confidence, the fun aspect of the sport. We're a great team. We have a good time playing, and one of the things the sport is very good at is helping your spatial awareness. And as a blind person, that is something you use a lot in real life. So, yeah, it's
well,
great.
can you just explain to people, sighted people, who might need to understand how it is? How do you hear this ball coming at you? How can you judge its speed?
You wouldn't necessarily judge its speed, but obviously you're listening for its direction. That can sometimes be tricky, and there are techniques for making the ball go in directions that you don't expect it's going to go in. But you sort of get quite close to the floor. We have various sort of postures to get ready to defend the ball, and then certain ways that we you know.
Rob,
sort of
how do you persuade people to play this game? Because Pete, you sound very enthusiastic. You obviously love the game, but to actually say to someone, "Come along and play," and have a ball thrown at you while you're lying on the ground, it doesn't quite appeal.
Well, sometimes a great difficulty, but for some other people, there is a great amount of appeal to it. So for many sort of visually impaired athletes that we've had on the team, it's the first time that they've taken part in a team sport. And so the opportunity to take part in a team sport, and something that is quite brutal as well for some of our players who are former rugby players, the ability to do a sport despite their visual impairment that allows them to sort of release that kind of energy and tension is of great appeal. And it's a great opportunity to meet other people that are in a similar situation to you as well, who are also visually impaired.
How do you rate the chances of Paralympic GB today?
GB have both got very, very tough starts. They're both respectively against probably the toughest teams in the world. But we've got a significant advantage of having the home crowd there, and that can never be underestimated.
Pete, a lot of people have never heard of Goalball, of course. That's about to change, and in a big way. Then that's part of what the Paralympics are all about.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, the more people we can get on board, the better. I mentioned about using the skills in daily life, and I think if there are a lot of visually impaired people who perhaps maybe they're not getting out, they perhaps aren't working, they don't have the confidence, and I think sport is a brilliant way to try and help that and improve the situation.
Well, it's great to see you both. Pete, Rob, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Coming back later, actually, so if you've got any questions, if you fancy playing or want to know more about it, get in touch with us. Rob, Pete, CC.
Well, joining us now, Rob Tyas, who founded and coaches a Goalball team in York, and Pete Holdstock, who plays in Rob's team. A very good morning to you both.
Morning.
Morning.
Pete, in terms of the game itself, a lot of people will never have heard of it until today, so just explain what it is that drew you to it. What is it about the game that gets you going?
Just the excitement, building the confidence, the social side of it. Gaining the sort of skills that I can then use in sort of day-to-day life, really. But the social side of it's excellent. So.
Rob, you've got the ball there. Just throw it over to me. Careful. See, that is not light. That is not light. If it hit you, it would hurt.
Yeah.
It really would. And Pete, I just, surely you must be worried when you're lying on the floor and you hear this thing coming at you, and it can come at you at quite a rate of knots, can't it?
And sometimes you have the best intentions to dive in front of the ball and stop it, but sometimes natural instinct kicks in, and you maybe perhaps don't perform as well as you maybe could do. So.
This is where Rob, you come in because you instruct, don't you? So
yes.
And you coach. So advice, a little bit of advice on how to avoid getting hurt, because there must be injuries in this game.
Yeah, so part of the problem when you're defending is there's only 3 of you trying to cover 9 metres across the goal line. And so what we tend to do is tend to spread out along the floor, as you saw in the video just then, trying to cover as much ground as possible. But tensing up your body means that you won't be in as much pain when the ball hits you. If you curl up and you're all soft, it'll hurt. But you also need to be careful to block your arm over your face to prevent facial injuries, and to make sure you've got adequate protection like a cricket box.
I think I would just be curled up in a ball in the corner.
Actually, I had an interesting email from John who's sent us this. Given that the blind participants rely so heavily on hearing the ball approach, what are the potential implications of the level of noise likely to be made by the Paralympic crowd? Will the crowd be requested perhaps to control their cheering? How important is that?
Very important. Sometimes the ball, because there are certain techniques you can use to make the ball go almost completely silent.
Are there?
So, yeah, so you make the ball spin, and that makes the bell sort of keep still, and you can't hear it coming. So the crowd generally would stay quiet, and then if somebody scores a goal, obviously people will clap, but generally every other time they would keep quiet.
There's another question from Kevin saying, for Paralympic sports such as goalball that require participants to wear equalising blindfolds, so they'll all be wearing blindfolds, begs the question, why can't people with no visual impairment take part?
They can. Certainly at domestic level anyway.
Right.
Like you say, once you put the eye shades on, you're on equal playing field. So Pete and I have played side by side in tournaments before, so I have no visual impairment yet. Once I've got the eye shades on, I'm on a level playing field. It really is an inclusive sport, and in that sense, we're really kind of hoping to sort of inspire schools where there might be 1 or 2 blind children, only 1 or 2 in the school, but with their non-visually impaired peers, put some eye shades on, and everyone can play on a level playing field.
Very quickly, Eileen's emailed in. How do you get involved? How do you, if you want to become an instructor?
Visit the Goalball UK website, which is goalballuk.com, and take part in a Goalball Leaders Award. There'll be several coming up after the Paralympic Games, so register your interest there.
And a sneaky one, Paralympic GB, the team today playing Lithuania, has it got a chance?
we never know with the home crowd advantage, but they are up against it because Lithuania are superb.
Good luck to the team. Rob, Pete, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I mentioned it, Paralympic GB's goal.